He says this, that he said to them, speaking of the disciples, "Thus it is written, and thus it was necessary for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead the third day, and that repentance and remission of sins should be preached in his name to all nations, beginning in Jerusalem, and you are witnesses of all these things." And for me, the first thing that struck me is, thus it is written, and thus it was necessary. You see, sometimes when we come to the message of Jesus Christ, we think it was an accident. Or some people say it was a tragedy. Could you believe that the Son of God was killed on a cross or murdered on a cross? What a tragedy. Listen, it was not a tragedy. It was not a murder. Look what it says. It was written and it was necessary that the Christ should suffer. Listen, this was the plan of God. This was God himself who knew this was going to happen, and God was not caught by surprise. This was not an accident or a part of the story. This was not plan B. See, God knew it, God willed it, God decreed it, and thus it happened. And that God was in control even this day, even on the day that he was suffering, even on the day that Christ was going through the pain, which also brings you to the understanding of what the love that God the Father had for us as well. I think a lot of times we think of the Easter story, we think of Jesus, and we think of the sacrifice that he paid, and what a great sacrifice he was, but also God the Father to love us so much that in complete control and his will be done, that he was willing to give up his son, not in an accident and not in a murder, but willingly let him come to this earth as a sacrifice. And when you think about that, some people say when you look to the cross, you see how desperate we were in our sin, but you also see how deliberate God was in his grace and his mercy for us. And you think about this, when you come to the cross of Jesus Christ, it did not take God by surprise. Has it ever occurred to you that it never occurs to God? Come on, that was pretty good. You got to give me something for that one. The early service even laughed at that one, all right? It doesn't occur to God. The old